This is testing a very rare thing. We've got parentheses in the answer choices. This is so rare, I don't even have a lesson on it. I don't have any sort of dedicated questions on it. It's just, in my opinion, very obvious, right? If we have an open parentheses somewhere, we probably want to close the parentheses. So let's see, do they close them or do we have to close them? Built between the 1st and 7th centuries CE, Teotihuacan housed its residents, as many as 200,000 by some estimates, in a complex of comfortable apartments of comparable size. So yeah, there's an open parentheses. We got to close this thing up. So that's going to get rid of C and D. We need the parentheses. And then that gets to what's the actual thing we're testing. It's probably really not the parentheses. I think that's too obvious for that to be the main focus of the question. It's this comma, right? And this is going to bother some people just out of the box, right? You can't have two punctuation marks next to each other. You can't do it. This is what you think. You're wrong, but that's what you think. Because parentheses, remember, it's an insertion of extra stuff. So it's almost like it's not there. So what we want to really do when we're testing this comma is decide, would we have put a comma there if all the parentheses stuff was gone? So let's just cross it out, right? Let's get rid of this, right? And let's get rid of the word estimates. All right, so I'll only do that in choice B. So meaning we're putting a comma and we're putting it, I'll switch a different color here. We're putting it right here after residence, right? Because it's kind of like it shifts all the way back to the word before the parentheses started. So now we're testing for choice B, do we need a comma in that spot? Built between the 1st and 7th centuries CE, Teotihuacan housed its residents in a complex of comfortable apartments of comparable size. I'm kind of adding the pause for effect, but to me, there's no reason to pause. There's no real pause here at all. And it's not just that I'm like kind of trying to avoid hearing a pause, I guess. It's more that I know that this word in really wouldn't be separated from what comes before it with a comma. In is a preposition, and so it's kind of starting a prepositional phrase, which is an extra little description that we are adding into the sentence. But prepositional phrases usually do not get any punctuation. They just follow from whatever we've said. So this comma here makes sense to me. That comma there is adding on this piece in the middle, or in the beginning rather, that's kind of describing the city. But Teotihuacan housed its residents in a complex of comfortable apartments of comparable size. There's a lot of prepositional phrase there, right? So in a complex of, that's a preposition, of comfortable apartments of comparable size. So look at all those prepositional phrases in a row. Do any of them have punctuation? No, they just kind of all work together and keep adding on extra descriptions. So we don't need any punctuation for the one that kind of starts the whole chain off. So that puts us at choice A. I think most of you would put that just kind of naturally, but I do think that there will be cases on harder questions where you will need to pick something like choice B, where you will need to put a comma or some other punctuation mark after a parentheses, a closed parentheses. And that's going to really bother you because you're like, no, you can't do that. You can't have two punctuation marks. Yes, you can. And the SAT knows you're afraid to do that. So that's why they sometimes ask about it. But really think about it again as if the parentheses, whatever's in between them, isn't even there. What would happen? What would the sentence look like if it wasn't there? Then move whatever that punctuation mark is to the word right before the parentheses and test it out that way. It might turn out that, yes, you would have needed a comma, but it really depends on the context. So here we're good, but fair warning, there will be cases where you're going to have to pick choices where you're putting punctuation after a parenthesis. It's fine. It's not bad. It's normal. You're just not used to it because you don't write complex sentences. You keep things simple. And so hopefully you aren't intimidated by it if you see it on a future question.